Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive from Detox Health.
Hi, everyone.
I'm your host Brian, and we're going to be talking about omega-3 fatty acids today.
Awesome.
I'm joined by Chelsea, an expert in all things nutrition.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, if you're tuning into the Detox Health YouTube channel, you know that they are an incredible resource for health information. But if you found us somewhere else, I highly recommend you check out the channel for a ton of great content. And if you like what you hear today, please consider sharing this deep dive with friends or family. It helps the channel reach more people who might be looking for this kind of information.
For sure, sharing good health knowledge is so important.
So today our mission is to really unpack the science behind omega-3 fatty acids. We want to figure out what they are, why they're so important for our health, and dive deep into the actual evidence supporting their benefits. We've gone through a lot of scientific articles and information from really reputable health organizations. So we're going to bring you the most important information in a way that's hopefully easy to understand. So Chelsea, let's kick things off with the basics. What exactly are these omega-3s we hear so much about?
Yeah, great question. So, omega-3s are a family of what we call polyunsaturated fatty acids. Basically, these are healthy fats that have a particular chemical structure that makes them super beneficial for our bodies. But here's the catch thing. Our bodies can't make them on their own, so we have to get them from our diet. And there are three main types that get a lot of attention. ALA, which stands for alpha-linolenic acid, and then we have EPA, or eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, which is docosahexaenoic acid.
ALA, EPA, DHA, got it. Now, I
Mhm.
remember reading that ALA is sort of like the precursor to EPA and DHA, like the starting point.
Exactly, you got it. ALA is what we call an essential fatty acid because it's something we need to get directly from food. Our bodies can convert some of that ALA into EPA and then a little bit of that EPA into DHA, but the process is pretty limited. It's kind of like trying to build a house with only tiny bricks.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if our bodies don't convert ALA to EPA and DHA that efficiently, why are EPA and DHA so important for us?
Well, they're involved in tons of crucial processes all over the body. EPA and DHA are essential for a healthy heart and blood vessels. They're important for our lungs, our immune system, which is basically our body's defense force, and even our hormone systems, which control so many functions.
Wow, that's quite a list. I also came across some information about DHA being especially important for babies.
Absolutely. DHA is actually a key building block of the retina in our eyes. You can think of the retina as the part of the eye that captures light like the film in an old school camera. And DHA is also crucial for brain development, particularly during pregnancy and those first few years of life. Getting enough DHA during these critical periods is super important for healthy vision and neurological development.
Interesting. Now, shifting gears a bit to mental health, because this is something that really caught my attention. What does the research tell us about omega-3s and mood?
Yeah, this is a really fascinating area of research. There's growing evidence that omega-3s can have a positive impact on both depression and anxiety. Some studies even suggest that people who consistently include omega-3s in their diet are less likely to experience depression in the first place.
That's really interesting. And what about for people who are already dealing with depression or anxiety?
There's promising research there too. Some studies have shown that taking omega-3 supplements might help improve symptoms in people with diagnosed depression and anxiety. And it seems like EPA might be the most beneficial for depression specifically.
So it's not just about potentially preventing these issues, but also about managing them. That's pretty powerful. Let's talk about vision now. You mentioned DHA earlier in relation to infants, but how does it affect adults?
Right. Well, DHA remains a major structural component of our retinas throughout our lives. Not getting enough DHA could potentially contribute to vision problems down the line. And what's really interesting is that getting enough omega-3s, especially DHA, has been linked to a reduced risk of age-related macular degeneration, which is a leading cause of vision loss and blindness as we get older.
Yeah, another compelling reason to think about our omega-3 intake. So let's delve a bit deeper into pregnancy and early childhood. You touched on this briefly, but can you elaborate on the benefits of adequate omega-3 intake during this time?
Sure, because omega-3s, especially DHA, are so crucial for brain development. Getting enough during pregnancy is linked to a bunch of positive outcomes for the baby. This includes things like improved cognitive development, so things like learning memory and problem-solving skills. Studies also suggest it can benefit communication and social skills and potentially lead to fewer behavioral problems. There's also some research indicating a decreased risk of developmental delays, though the findings there are still a bit mixed.
So it's like setting the stage for a healthy future. Now, heart health is probably one of the areas most closely associated with omega-3s. What does the science say about their role in cardiovascular health?
You're right. The link between omega-3s and heart health has been studied for a long time. Early on, researchers noticed that populations who ate a lot of fish, which are high in omega-3s, had much lower rates of heart disease. Since then, tons of studies have shown that omega-3s are linked to several heart-healthy benefits.
Like what specific?
Well, for instance, omega-3s can significantly reduce triglyceride levels. Triglycerides are a type of fat found in your blood, and high levels can increase your risk of heart disease. Some older research also suggests that omega-3s might help raise HDL cholesterol, which is the good cholesterol. And some studies have indicated that omega-3s could help prevent blood platelets from sticking together, which could reduce the risk of dangerous blood clots. They also play a role in reducing the production of inflammatory substances in the body. And for some people, omega-3s might even contribute to lowering LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, although the evidence on that is a bit mixed.
So they have a positive impact on several major risk factors for heart disease. But I also read that there are some nuances around whether taking omega-3 supplements actually prevents things like heart attacks and strokes.
You're absolutely right. While omega-3s can definitely improve those risk factors, the current evidence isn't super strong that taking omega-3 supplements alone will prevent heart attacks or strokes in most people. A lot of studies that specifically looked at supplements haven't found a big reduction in these major cardiovascular events. What's interesting is that getting your omega-3s from eating whole fish, which provides a whole package of nutrients, might be more protective than just popping a pill.
So it seems like food is the way to go when it comes to omega-3s. Let's move on to ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Is there any evidence that omega-3s could help manage ADHD symptoms?
There's some interesting research in this area, especially when it comes to children with ADHD. Some studies have shown that these kids tend to have lower levels of omega-3s in their blood compared to kids without ADHD. And there's some evidence that giving omega-3 supplements might reduce certain ADHD symptoms, particularly inattention and difficulty completing tasks. There's also some indication that they might help reduce hyperactivity, impulsivity, restlessness, and even aggressive behaviors. But the research findings here are a bit mixed, and we definitely need more robust studies before drawing firm conclusions.
Mixed results seem to be a common theme. It really highlights the complexity of our bodies and how nutrients interact with them. What about metabolic syndrome? As I understand it, that's a cluster of conditions like increased belly fat, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high triglycerides, and low good cholesterol. Can omega-3s help with that?
Yes, there is some research suggesting potential benefits for people with metabolic syndrome. Omega-3s might help improve blood sugar levels, reduce inflammation, and have a positive impact on several of those heart disease risk factors we discussed earlier.
Inflammation is another big topic in health these days. How do omega-3s fit into the body's inflammatory processes?
Omega-3s are known for their anti-inflammatory properties. They can help reduce the production of molecules and substances in the body that drive inflammation. Things like inflammatory eicosanoids and cytokines, these are like messengers that tell the body to increase inflammation. Numerous studies have consistently shown a link between taking omega-3 supplements and a reduction in markers of inflammation. And this is important because chronic low-grade inflammation is believed to play a role in the development of many long-term health problems.
And what about autoimmune diseases, where the body's immune system attacks its own healthy tissues?
This is an area where research is really picking up. One study showed a connection between higher intake of certain fatty acids, including DHA during infancy, and a lower risk of developing type 1 diabetes-related autoimmunity later in life. Omega-3s are also being studied for their potential to help manage symptoms in conditions like lupus rheumatoid arthritis, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, and psoriasis. But it's important to note that while the early research is promising, we need more studies to fully understand their role in these complex conditions.
It seems like omega-3s have a really broad impact on so many systems in the body. What about their role in mental health conditions beyond depression and anxiety?
Well, some studies have reported lower levels of omega-3s in people with various psychiatric disorders. There's even some research suggesting that omega-3 supplements might help reduce aggressive or violent behavior. And some studies have explored potential benefits for managing symptoms of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, but the findings are a bit inconsistent, so more research is needed.
And as we age, cognitive function becomes a big concern for many people. Do omega-3s play a role in supporting brain health as we age and potentially reducing the risk of things like Alzheimer's disease?
This is a really important area of research. Several studies have linked higher omega-3 intake with a decreased risk of age-related cognitive decline and a potentially lower risk of developing Alzheimer's. One review even suggested that omega-3 supplements might be most beneficial in the very early stages of Alzheimer's when symptoms are still mild. But like many areas we've discussed, the research is ongoing, and we need more large-scale studies to get clearer answers.
Cancer is obviously a huge concern for many people. Has there been any research on omega-3s and cancer prevention?
Yeah, some older studies initially suggested a possible link between higher omega-3 intake and a reduced risk of certain cancers like prostate, breast, and colon cancer. However, it's important to say that not all studies have confirmed this. The National Institutes of Health actually reported on a large clinical trial that found omega-3 supplements didn't reduce the overall risk of cancer. So while there was initial hope, the current evidence doesn't strongly support a broad preventative role for omega-3s when it comes to cancer.
Got it. What about asthma, which is common in children?
There was a study in 2018 that found a link between higher omega-3 consumption and a lower risk of developing asthma in kids. This suggests a potential protective effect, but we need more research to confirm this and understand why it happens.
What about fatty liver disease, which seems to be on the rise? Is there any connection to omega-3s?
Yes, there's research suggesting that omega-3 supplements might be helpful for people with metabolic-associated steatotic liver disease, or MASLD, which used to be called NAFLD. Studies have shown that omega-3s could potentially reduce liver fat and inflammation in these individuals.
Interesting. Bone and joint health are also crucial for staying active as we age. What role do omega-3s play there?
There's some evidence that omega-3s might help improve bone strength, possibly by boosting calcium absorption. This could theoretically reduce the risk of osteoporosis, but the research is mixed. For joints, some studies have found that omega-3 supplements might reduce pain in people with osteoarthritis, especially in synovial joints. But we need more high-quality research to understand the full extent of their impact.
Menstrual pain is another common issue. Could omega-3s provide any relief?
Yes, actually. Some studies have linked higher omega-3 intake to milder menstrual pain. A meta-analysis from 2023, which combined data from multiple studies, found that omega-3 supplements reduced both the severity of menstrual pain and the need for pain relievers. One study even suggested that omega-3s might be more effective than ibuprofen for managing menstrual pain.
Wow, that's great news for people who experience significant menstrual pain. Finally, let's touch on sleep quality and skin health. Are omega-3s beneficial in these areas as well?
Yes, definitely. For sleep, some studies have linked lower omega-3 levels to sleep problems in kids and an increased risk of sleep apnea in adults. Animal studies have also suggested that low DHA levels might be linked to lower melatonin production, which is a hormone that regulates sleep. Research in both children and adults indicates that taking omega-3 supplements might improve sleep quality. When it comes to skin health, DHA is a vital building block for skin cells, and EPA can help keep skin hydrated, might prevent hair follicle problems, protect against premature aging, and there's even some evidence suggesting it could help reduce acne. Animal studies have also hinted that omega-3s might offer some protection against sun damage, though they're not a replacement for sunscreen.
Wow, Chelsea, that's an incredible list of potential benefits. So for our listeners who are now thinking, okay, I need to make sure I'm getting enough omega-3s, what are the best ways to incorporate them into our diets, and what are the general recommendations?
The best way to get your omega-3s is through whole foods, specifically fatty fish. Health organizations often recommend eating fatty fish about twice a week. Great sources of EPA and DHA include mackerel kippers, pilchards, trout sprats, salmon, herring, sardines, crab, and whitebait. Swordfish also has EPA and DHA, but we need to be mindful of mercury levels in larger fish, which we can talk about in a sec. If you don't eat fish, there are plant-based sources of ALA like walnuts, flaxseeds, rapeseed, and linseed oils, soy products like tofu and edamame, and pumpkin and chia seeds.
And when you say a portion of fish, what does that actually mean?
The recommendations vary a bit, but a typical serving of fresh fish for adults is around 140 grams or about 5 ounces, and a standard small can of oily fish is usually considered a single portion. It's also worth looking for fortified foods like some eggs, milk, and yogurt that have added omega-3s, especially if you're not regularly eating fish.
What about omega-3 supplements? Are they something most people should consider?
In some places like the UK, general recommendations for omega-3 supplements aren't really given because the evidence of benefit for everyone isn't super clear. If someone is thinking about taking a supplement, it's generally recommended to choose a regular omega-3 supplement over fish liver oil to avoid potentially high vitamin A levels. It's also a good idea to check the label and aim for around 450 milligrams of EPA and DHA combined per day for adults. If you're not sure, it's always best to talk to a registered dietitian or nutritionist. And when choosing fish or fish oil supplements, it's really important to think about sustainability. Look for products that are MSC certified or check resources like a local Good Fish Guide to make environmentally responsible choices.
You mentioned mercury and other contaminants in fish. Is that something we should be worried about?
Yeah, it's definitely something to be aware of, but for most adults, the benefits of eating fish, especially those rich in omega-3s, outweigh the potential risks from contaminants. However, some larger, longer-lived fish like shark, swordfish, king mackerel, and tilefish can build up higher levels of mercury. Pregnant women planning to become pregnant, breastfeeding mothers, and kids under 16 should limit or avoid these high mercury fish. Other adults should also limit them to one portion a week max. For most adults, it's perfectly safe and healthy to eat 2 servings of omega-3 rich fish per week, with a serving being around 4 ounces. And a quick tip on cooking, grilling, broiling, or baking is generally healthier than frying.
So choosing lower mercury omega-3 rich fish, being mindful of portions and cooking methods are key. Lastly, what's the general consensus on getting omega-3s from supplements versus whole foods like fish?
Most health professionals agree that it's almost always better to get your nutrients, including omega-3s, from eating a variety of whole foods. Whole foods provide a much wider range of beneficial vitamins, minerals, and other compounds that work together in the body, something you don't get from a supplement. While plant-based sources of ALA, like flaxseed and walnuts, are definitely good for your overall health, their direct heart health benefits don't seem to be as strong as those from EPA and DHA found in fish.
Chelsea, this has been an incredibly informative deep dive into the world of omega-3 fatty acids. Thanks so much for sharing your expertise.
It was my pleasure, Brian.
So to recap for our listeners, omega-3 fatty acids offer a huge range of potential health benefits, from mental well-being and heart health to reducing inflammation and so much more. While supplements might be an option in some cases, prioritizing whole food sources like fatty fish and incorporating plant-based omega-3s is a great way to improve your health.
Absolutely. I'd encourage everyone to take a moment to think about their diet. Look back at the list of good omega-3 sources we talked about, like salmon, mackerel, walnuts, and flax seeds, and think about some easy and enjoyable ways to include more of them in your meals.
And here's a final thought. With so many potential benefits linked to omega-3s and all the ongoing research in this area, what other fascinating connections between the foods we eat and our overall health might we discover in the years to come?
Definitely lots to be curious about.
And if you found this deep dive helpful and want to learn more about important health topics, please subscribe to the Detox Health YouTube channel. They've got tons of insightful content, and we'll be bringing you more deep dives like this in the future. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.